Hi, folks. Baba here again with another tube. How have you been? Um, Hope you have been okay and your practice is strong and inspired. Hope your mind is clear, heart is soft, and body is strong, strong and healthy. Um, it's been a week now since we finished our annual summer retreat down here in our center, in our ashram in Slovenia, and I was expecting to have like a week of rest after the retreat. You know, they are pretty intense to teach because I teach so many sessions a day. So I was hoping to have a week of rest, but most of my week last week went into looking into a new center that we are now gonna buy with our community, with community, how to say, community. Our Sangha finances it. So last week we've been mostly looking into two specific properties in Italy, and I'm continuing that project today on Monday. But my week and also Rani's week, my companions, our time went into that. So a bit too little rest. Um, Nothing to complain though. You know, I'm really looking forward to have a proper center, and it's looking really good now, like what is available in Italy. And at the same time, you know, we've been living with Rani down here in Slovenia for almost 3 years now, and I've actually started to feel a bit melancholic because, uh, you know, it's been a pretty like one era, one period in our lives, and you know, living here for 3 years in this beautiful nature. I'm sitting here in the backyard. I decided to go a little away from the river so that it won't interrupt with the noise. But those of you who have been here know that it's such a beautiful place. But you know, it's a rented house, so sooner or later uh, we knew that we were going to move out, and what could be a nicer way to move away even such a beautiful place than our own permanent center. But I will give more information about this uh, buying this property in my videos, and also Sangita, who is Helena Sangita and Kripa Silvia, who are in charge of this financial side of finding the place. They will give updates in Facebook and also on our YouTube channel, on Open Heart YouTube channel. So I will just make brief comments about it here on Baba's secret channel. Okay, so moving on to today's topic, which is tracing the roots of modern yoga. Tracing the roots of modern yoga, and specifically modern Hatha yoga. So there is this. Oh gosh, now I'm not sure if Adam is. I think he's a British fellow. There is this Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga teacher called Adam Keen, Keen, who has his own podcast in YouTube. I think it's Keen on Yoga podcast. It's windy here now. I have little pebbles to keep my notes in place, but the wind is so hard that even the little rocks won't do, apparently. Anyway, so Adam Keen is, I hope I'm getting this right, a British teacher of mostly Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga in the tradition of Patabi Joyce. And I like Adam a lot because he dares to ask the questions that many don't. And so he very openly has spoken about Ashtanga yoga and that style of yoga practice and the problems in that, both in the actual practice and the problems in the lineage. maybe it's good to note that I have plenty of experience, first-hand experience of Ashtanga yoga, Hatha yoga practice. I guess you could say that I started my yoga, Hatha yoga path with Ashtanga yoga over 20 years ago, and at one point, at the peak of my uh, youth and flexibility and all that, I was able to do first and second series in full. So, uh, and it was quite easy when you are 20 something years old. Uh, it's not difficult at all to put you into a double knot. uh, but anyway, I used to do it for for few years regularly, and then over these last over 2 decades, I've joined Ashtanga yoga seminars and courses with variety of teachers. The last time I joined like a strictly Ashtanga teaching was in 2018. So it's actually been already 8 years. But I just wanted to mention that I've done a fair bit of Ashtanga yoga study. Uh, but then also I've done so many different forms of different types of physical cultivation, and maybe I'll come to those in a bit. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention, because this video might be viewed by people who don't know me. So um, I am the founder and head teacher of a yogic cultivation method called Open Heart. And in a nutshell, I've been a full-time teacher for 18 years now, and have taught in many countries, many places. I don't know, I never counted, but maybe a few hundred retreats or something like that. Um, so I've been at it for quite a long time. And what we do in Open Heart is that um, it's a method of enlightenment, like yoga is meant as. So we have three different, you could say, three different methods under one roof, and one method for each of our bodies. We call them nadi system, meridian system, and physical system. So causal body, astral body, and physical body. So physical cultivation, like serious, proper physical practice, is very, very important in our. You could say that it's spiritual lineage or spiritual method, but physical practices are very important um, for two reasons mainly. I've been a physical practitioner since 1986 when I was 7 years old. I started practicing martial arts and have done decades of yoga, physical yoga, and internal martial arts training all over the globe. And the second reason is myself being a Dharma heir of a Japanese Zen and Zen arts master called Terayama Tanchu Roshi. Terayama Roshi passed in 2007, but I was his heart student. He asked me to teach after he's gone, and in this Zen lineage, there's lots of emphasis on physical cultivation, physical movement, and expressing enlightenment physically. So that's a brief, very brief introduction to those of you who don't know me. And you can find, if you're interested in looking into this further, you can go to our Open Heart channel in YouTube, and there's over 1,000 videos there that you can explore. And also, I've done I think this is 24th video in this YouTube series on my Baba's Secret channel. So anyway, back to the topic. So tracing the roots of modern yoga was Adam Keen's name of Adam Keen's podcast episode number 286. And highly recommend you to check out and listen to Adam Keen's presentations. Some of them are just wonderful to listen. Really educative, really informative, uh, about uh, ins and outs of the Ashtanga Vinyasa Hatha Yoga training and their tradition. Uh, Having said that, I felt that I've listened to Adam quite a bit over the last maybe 5, 6 years. Um, and also, I've had this thought uh, when listening to other Hatha Yoga uh, professionals, like I was listening to, what's his name? Adam Swenson something. Sorry, I can't remember. But I have had these same thoughts when I'm listening to Western Hatha Yoga teachers. And nowadays, what is wonderful is that you have Facebook and you have YouTube, which has just crazy amounts of information available. And one of the ways that I have acquired information and have done my analysis of the state of ancient yogas in modern time is by looking at practice videos of yogis, hatha yogis online, because you can easily see what they are doing or what they're not doing in their practice. Just recently, I was watching a Indian, can't remember where he lives in India, but he's a master, very highly regarded master of the Nath tradition. Can't remember which branch of Nath traditions, but anyway, a highly regarded master and a lineage holder in Nath. This Natha, Natha, Nath. Nath yogis are an ancient order of meditators, yogis, hatha yogis who they don't really follow Hinduism or Buddhism, but use both. So they use whatever works. Anyway, my point is that I've been studying hatha yoga and physical practices quite a bit in my life. So what I often hear when different teachers, like Adam in his presentation of the Tracing the Roots of Modern Yoga, what I often hear is that they, like many, are trying to try to find the pieces of the puzzle and try to put the puzzle together to understand the practice and its purpose. To understand the practice and its purpose. And I think that a lot of practitioners of whatever types of methods do the same to some degree, asking the question like, what are we doing with this practice that we are doing and where it will take us? What is the purpose of it? And it's a very important question, obviously. Any tradition, any lineage holder should be able to give that answer to the students right away. And, it's not a secret that, like one of the scriptures that is taken as authoritative is Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And Patanjali, in his first two sentences of his scripture, makes it perfectly clear what the purpose of yoga is. But then to fill in the gap is a whole different discussion and whole different question. So, what is the real path from unawakened state when the vrittis of the chitta vritti is going like crazy, and you might be physically in poor shape as well? What is the path with delusion and mental and emotional poisons going crazy to cessation of all of that, together with a robust health, really good health. So this is a key question, isn't it? What is the path, and how do we travel the path in very efficient manner without wasting time? So Adam was talking about, I would say, modern key texts of yoga. He mentioned Hatha Yoga, Pradipika, and he was also talking about the popular figures of modern Hatha Yoga, mentioning Krishnamacharya. Tirumali Krishnamacharya is considered to be one of the founding fathers of modern Hatha Yoga. And then, of course, his students, Pattabhi Jois, who started Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, and BKS Iyengar, who founded Iyengar Yoga. These are very, very like superstar names in the world of Hatha Yoga. And then, considering the reason why I wanted to make this video is because Adam, like many, like I have also, we are in the process of tracing the roots of modern yoga. Well, if you, or, tracing figuring out the path and purpose of yoga. And this is where it becomes problematic in my view. And I will explain myself a little bit what I mean by that. So, in my understanding, there are three principles of physical cultivation. Like, maybe you could say three aspects of physical cultivation. Not really, you can't really say three levels, but let's say three principles, three aspects. And the first one is the obvious one. You're doing something physically with your body. So you are doing postures and movements, whether they are, you could broaden this a lot, like postures and movements. So could be expressed in a language of traditional Hatha Yoga postures, could be expressed through the form of dancing, could be expressed in a bit different kind of language, like Qigong, Tai Chi, like Chinese internal martial arts type movements. The form doesn't really matter what the form language is, but the point is that the first most obvious level of physical cultivation is doing some types of postures and movements. And this, of course, also covers being still, being physically still. So just the physically doing postures and movements without anything internal. So that's number one. Number two is the internal aspect. Internal. So physical aspect, second, internal aspect. And in the internal aspect, and this is missing from maybe over 99% of Hatha Yoga styles, what you are working with is activation of the physical and subtle bodies. Activation of physical and subtle bodies. And when I said that in the vast majority of physical yoga styles, this is absent, and there is no instruction about this, I'm not talking about pranayama practices. I'm not talking about breathing practices and then doing bandhas, muscle locks, or mudras, seals. I'm not talking about that. And while it is pranic practices, breathing practices, seals and locks are important, very important aspect, what is missing in physical cultivation systems is understanding how to activate the physical and subtle bodies at once, how to cultivate the physical and subtle bodies at once. And this is, to my knowledge, it's completely absent in all hatha yoga, physical yoga styles that have come from India and exist in India. Like I said, that I have studied Ashtanga yoga. I have taken Iyengar yoga lessons a few times. I keep studying. You can see it from videos of uh, practitioners online, like the mentioned Nath yoga master. Uh, let's say that to this day, I have not seen an Indian hatha yoga practitioner who would activate their bodies or engage in their bodies. And specifically, what I'm talking about here is what is very common in Chinese and Japanese uh, physical training systems. So, in all the internal martial arts, Chinese, originally Taoist, they do this. And it is called E in some arts, Y-I-E. It means literally intent. So to apply intent in the body. Uh, a alternative term for that is used in Tai Chi is Pang, written P-E-N-G, Pang, Peng, Pang. It's pronounced Pang. So, and I think that what is done in Pang activation is what Mahabandha, the great bodily lock, originally meant. Mahabandha. I like to translate or Pang or Mahabandha as physicalized concentration. This is something that I have taught regularly for many years. And, if you go to a local Tai Chi school or Qigong school, start taking classes, they are constantly teaching this activation or physicalized concentration. But in yoga classes, I have never seen this taught, which is interesting. And I think that my impression, what I've learned from my masters, is that this teaching was in India, in ancient India, long before Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which I think is a modern text, and other such texts that were written just a few hundred to thousand years ago. I think that this technique, this uh, internal activation was very common, but nowadays it's completely gone from Indian yogas. So that's first one, physical, second, activation of the physical and subtle bodies. And the third one is the spiritual aspect in physical cultivation. And I use the broad word spiritual, but I have a very specific meaning for that. Like in yoga, it has a very specific meaning. So spiritual doesn't mean just anything, but means one thing or two things. One is recognition of the natural state and including or cultivation of blessings during the practice. So that's what spiritual means. This third very, very important aspect in physical cultivation. If we want that our physical cultivation really leads and supports our path to enlightenment. Oh, I mentioned the term enlightenment a few times already on this video and in many of my other videos. And what I mean by enlightenment is openness and activation of all three bodies. Openness and activatedness of all three bodies. In Buddhism, which is a tradition that I'm most familiar of, this is called full enlightenment is called sambodhi. Sambodhi. So I'm not talking about some uh, vague enlightenment, but a very specific type of enlightenment. Buddhist enlightenment, the one that Buddha Shakyamuni and thousands other men and women have before and since reached. So three aspects: physical, internal, and spiritual. And maybe a couple more words about this spiritual. You know, I made a video of mindfulness versus awareness. So two different types of paradigms that exist and are used in different training systems. And the one that I'm coming from is not a mindfulness-based training system, but awareness-based training system. So please find that video of mindfulness and awareness if you don't know what I'm talking about. But here I do not mean when I speak of spiritual as recognition of the natural state, recognition of our true self. I'm not talking about being concentrated. I'm not talking about being focused on some one thing, some one object of our concentration. I am not talking about that. And this is exactly where I would have to say 100% of existing physical cultivation methods lack. So not only Indian Hatha yoga systems, Indian yoga systems, but also Chinese, Taoist, they don't have methods for recognizing awareness as it is. And it's kind of like, even though there's lots of this talk and I would say flirtation with enlightenment and awareness and nirodha cessation, there's very, it is, to me, it's pretty upsetting that there's so little understanding about this. So it's like using these fancy terms and flirting with something like enlightenment. I remember this one Iyengar interview where he flirted with this enlightenment thing without really explaining it and clearly without understanding at all what he was talking about. And same can be said, I haven't found a single one like Hatha Yoga teacher or master who would be actually able to explain this and demonstrate it in movement. Demonstrate it. This is why I feel so fortunate that to have been a student of Terayama Roshi, because he was such a specialist in this very topic. Without his teachings and without his example, my understanding would be much less, even though I had done a couple of decades of martial arts training and physical cultivation before studying with him. So my master, Terayama Roshi, really saved me in this regard. So yeah, the spiritual aspect in physical cultivation, it's referred to and flirted with, but there is no real knowledge and understanding of this in the existing Hatha Yoga world. And I wish it was different. I really wish and pray and have prayed for decades that it was different, but it simply isn't. And the reason for making this video is because I don't know if Adam is interested in this video of mine. I will send a link to him when I record this. And I don't know if people in general, Hatha Yoga practitioners, are interested in my take. But I'm just presenting my understanding like I have for many years, and some will see something valuable in it and take up the practices that I teach. And that is actually a very important point that uh, all of this, what I have been talking on this video and other videos, is something that can be taught in very clear language, understandable instructions, without any woo-woo, without any vagueness, without any hype, without very clearly, down to earth, just like how yoga, teaching of yoga should be. So, three principles of physical cultivation: physical postures and movements, one, two, activation of physical and subtle bodies, and three, spiritual recognition of the natural state and including blessings in one's physical practice. The last two of these, the last two, the most important ones, are, you could say, entirely absent from Ashtanga yoga, Iyengar yoga, other Hatha yoga styles that have come from India or from Indian teachers. Completely absent. These instructions are not there, and there is no understanding how to, like in many, like in Ashtanga yoga, for example, they have these chanting sessions before or after physical practice, and how should I say this without upsetting anybody? Well, it's not really. It's just a practical um, observation. But even when chanting mantras and prayers, we should have the basic understanding that after chanting, there is a charge, there is a blessing that needs to be felt and taken in. There is a charge, a blessing there. Even without empowerments, there is a charge there. But there is, people don't know about this. I've talked about this a lot in my teachings and in my YouTubes. And this is also true in even in tantric training systems, that people chant a lot of something, prayers, mantras, scriptures, and then when they're done chanting, they close the book, stand up, and go have lunch. So completely and every time missing the precious opportunity to take in the blessings. Hello, it's like how decadent can yoga get? How bad can it get? When it comes to tantric systems, it couldn't possibly get any worse than that. Uh, oh my God, Lord have mercy. So so these are the three principles. Um, yeah, and to my knowledge, I don't know of a single physical cultivation style that included the three aspects in one training system. Of course, it is. I would be delighted to know. Would be fantastic if all these three were taught in all yoga classes and yoga studios around the world, but this simply isn't the case based on what I know. And this leads us to the topic, tracing the roots of modern yoga. I don't think that modern yoga has roots. I don't think that modern yoga uh, is a method. I don't think so. And the reason is because the results are not there. Of course, you can argue what about different types of results. Okay, somebody who's very stiff started to do practice 1 year ago. Of course, that person is much more relaxed physically, much more pliable and strong physically. But this is like a minor benefit, likely has very little or nothing to do with chitta vritti nirodha, cessation of habit patterns, kleshas, vasanas, samskaras. So this is the reason why I say that I don't think modern yoga has any roots, even though there are lineages. Even though there are lineages and traditions, be it that traditions change over time, the practices change, the teaching changes, um, one generation after the other of teachers create a tradition. I don't think it's a tradition, but it is questionable whether they have a method and whether they have authenticity. So it's a pretty bad situation, heartbreaking sometimes. Um, what can we do about it? Well, what I have done about it is spend my lifetime studying these things, spend 10 years in retreat, um, 23, 24 years in intensive practice, figuring out how this all works. And yeah, I can say that I understand and know how it works. I know exactly because of the amount of work that I've done, work and study that I've done with my beloved masters who are now gone, but who I'm still very much inspired by. So my prayer is that in these dark times when there is such a heavy cloud of negativity and emotional poisons and all kinds of things that wreck people's health, physical health and psychological health, I pray that real, valid, authentic methods of yoga are reborn and are vitalized for the benefit of all people. This planet, this world, this civilization really needs it. There is no time to waste in this regard, no time to waste. And, you know, anybody's welcome to look into what I teach uh, on this YouTube channel, Baba Secret channel, or Open Heart YouTube, or we have openheartofallbeings.com website. You can find online courses. You are welcome to join retreats that I teach in different places around the world. So if you're interested, just look into it. If you think what I teach is shit, rubbish, fine. But I'm pretty confident because my students have advanced so well using the practices that I teach. Okay, almost 40 minutes. Well, I was kind of expecting with this topic. Uh, I hope I didn't make you upset. That was not my intention. The purpose of my purpose of making these videos is to offer alternative perspectives and share them with those who are seeing the cracks. Much love, everybody. Bless you, and bless the world. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free. Okay. See you in the next one. Bye now.